Oh boy, so this is something I normally don't do, but today we're going to call out another YouTuber and talk about one of his videos. That YouTuber is Verlisify, and I want to talk about him and clickbait. Now I was going to make a video about clickbait in the first place, but then I had multiple little encounters with this guy, and he kind of epitomizes some of the things I wanted to talk about, so we're going to use him as an example. So here's what happened. Verlisify is a fellow furry YouTuber who primarily does Pokemon videos. Now, I watch his content. Him and Jwits are the only two Poketubers I am subscribed to. But Verlisify has this habit of starting shit with other Poketubers, especially this guy TyranitarTube. This all started when Verlisify tweeted out this, out of the blue, basically saying that this guy does news late, there's no passion in it, it's all about money with him. It's kind of a mean thing to say, so I replied with, well, you can still be late with news and have passion. And then Verlisify added that it's literally clickbait since he manipulates the images to look like gameplay, only deception. Which, once again, I replied with, we all use various forms of clickbait. And I believe that. Now, what clickbait means to me is a thumbnail that baits you into clicking on it. Fairly straightforward definition. So things like big arrows and circles and all caps, I consider clickbait. I use some of these things too. I don't really consider clickbait bad though. I think it's a necessary tool that YouTubers use to get views. And the biggest YouTubers have some of the most clickbait titles and thumbnails. I asked Verlisify what his definition of clickbait was, and in tweets that I can no longer view, he said something to the effect of, the only definition of clickbait is when there is misleading information in a thumbnail. There's no scale of if something has more or less clickbait, it either is or it isn't. Which kind of raises a problem, because that's not the only definition of clickbait. I just said I have a different definition of it. I think most people do. I think that there definitely is a scale when it comes to clickbait, and yes, having a misleading thumbnail is part of that, but only a part. Now this wouldn't be a problem, but a few days later Verlisify comes out with this video. Now take a look at this title and that thumbnail. This was days after calling out another YouTuber for using clickbait. So I want to break this down. The best new Pokemon was just revealed in Sun and Moon. First of all, it's misleading to say the best Pokemon, because I watched the video and it's not about the best Pokemon. It's a pretty good strategy using a Pokemon, so that's already misleading in a small kind of way. When you say best Pokemon, it makes me think of something like Mewtwo with these massive legendary stats. Something that is clearly better than most, if not all, other Pokemon. And that's not me having an imagination, that's what best means. Second, just revealed. The Pokemon in your video was a Pokemon that was revealed 5 days before you posted this video. And yes, 5 days is a long time for you, considering you do 2 uploads a day. You usually do videos the day that something is released. Saying this was just released is misleading. It's making people think that it was perhaps released today or maybe late yesterday. Now the thing is, I don't care. I don't care if your thumbnail is misleading in these small ways. But the fact is, this is something you called out TyranitarTube for just a few days ago, because he was a week or so late with some information. How can you not see that this is the same thing? Alright, so then another day or two goes by and Verlisify releases this video, talking about his previous video and how it's not clickbait. Let's go through that.
Clickbait is when you lie, when you put something false in your thumbnail or title, and then you just kind of lie and deceive around it or use misinformation. My video doesn't do that at all, so it's objectively not clickbait.
Yes, your title does. It makes it seem like it's a new Pokemon that was just released, and that it's the best Pokemon. What you talked about in your video was an interesting strategy, but it's far from the best, and you know it.
Nothing here is straight up clickbait. An arrow isn't clickbait, red circle isn't clickbait, and then like caps or a silhouetted thing. None of those things are clickbait.
Yes, they are. They are all clickbait. That is part of what clickbait is. You have a very specific definition of what clickbait is that most people don't share, and it should be obvious to you by the amount of dislikes on this video.
The Pokemon Company officially revealed these guys a few days ago, which is why I can say that they were just revealed.
Once again, 5 days ago. Now that isn't a long time on a grand scale, but by your standards of your channel, it is. Once again, because you post 2 videos a day on average and are always talking about the things the day they come out. 5 days is a long time for you.
This one is amazing. Like, I don't understand if either, like, if Master Saint is an idiot or if the Pokemon Go community is full of idiots.
You do this several times in the video, and you do this on Twitter a lot. Stop calling people in the Pokemon community idiots for not agreeing with you on your very strict definition of what clickbait is. You are literally calling most of your audience idiots, which is probably why you have so many dislikes on this video. Is what this other YouTuber does clickbait? Yes, but in a different way. He spends the next couple of minutes calling out other YouTubers for their clickbait, but then this is the part that really gets me.
If you look at this definition right here, this isn't a real definition. Like, people will go like, oh, but if you go and Google, also I need to get this in screen, if you Google clickbait, they'll get this definition: content, especially of a sensational or provocative nature, whose main purpose is to attract attention or draw visitors to a particular webpage.
Yes, there are many different definitions of clickbait. Your definition is not the infallible one and only definition. How do you not see that? How can you go through these dictionaries on your own video and see that they define it differently than you and then just say that they're wrong? How can anyone do this?
But because of that, you can really just dumb this down to literally everything being made to be clickbait. Oh, you use search engine optimization? Clickbait, because you want people on your webpage. Oh, you used a non-default thumbnail on YouTube? Clickbait. That means everything is clickbait, which is why this is a terrible definition.
Yes, because that is the generally accepted and well-known definition of clickbait. That is what most people think of when they say clickbait.
Fine, you don't like the Wikipedia definition. This definition proves that you're wrong in your clickbaiting, except it actually proves me right because of that right there. It's about tricking people. It's about tricking people, not luring them. That's what this dash means right here. That's about trick people.
That is a quote from one person. That isn't some official definition. You can't just search through the internet to find one quote from one person that agrees with you and then say that that is the one and only definition of something.
That the other definitions of clickbait, they don't define anything, which is why you need something objective. Something objective like fake information, misleading, lying, deception. That's what counts as clickbait.
No! You're using words like objective to try and make it sound like this is some inherent thing, but this is a definition that you have come up with in your own subjective way.
I feel that that is a problem with like all these things that are going on. TyrantArTube's clickbait, Master Saint's clickbait, all of the other people that are clickbait in the community with fake information in their thumbnails or titles, that makes people less likely to trust the next video, and then it hurts legitimate content like mine.
What the fuck are you talking about? What does that even mean? Because other people use clickbait, it makes them dislike your content? Do you have any idea how delusional that sounds? Maybe people dislike your content because they dislike your content. Possibly because you call them idiots all the time for disagreeing with you. This video frustrates me, because it just epitomizes this attitude I see all the time when it comes to clickbait. There is no one strict definition of what clickbait is. Some people think that if it has caps and big red circles and big arrows, it's clickbait, regardless of the content of the video. Some people think that it needs to basically lie to you in some way for it to be clickbait. I personally believe that all these things are clickbait, and it's not about if it is or isn't, it's more of a scale of how clickbaity it is. And like I said before, some clickbait isn't a bad thing. We all do it because it works. My big question for you, Verlisify, is why are you always on this clickbait witch hunt? Why does it bother you so much that some people use different styles of clickbait than you? It doesn't make any sense, especially coming from a YouTuber as big as you are. Do you have to tear down and delegitimize other people's channels in order to feel good about your own? See, the thing is, you aren't fooling me when you talk about how everyone else uses clickbait but you. You aren't fooling anyone else either, and that should be obvious from the amount of dislikes on this video. The only person you are really trying to fool here is yourself. Anyway, normally I'd say I don't have anything against you, Verlisify. As I said, I watch your content and I like it for the most part. I actually agree with you on a lot of things, especially when it comes to the cheaters and the Pokemon video game community. But you blocked me when I asked you about your definition of clickbait, which kind of sets a wall between us. Anyway, I'm Kothorix, and you have a wonderful day. Alright, so even though he blocked me, I'm still going to give Verlisify a shout out. Partially to extend a peace offering after calling him out, and partially just because if I talk about someone else's channel, I should at least do this. Anyway, he does pretty good Pokemon related content, especially lately with all the news about Pokemon Sun and Moon. So go check him out.